Hello everyone, Jason Moss here. I was asked to do a video about the experience my son and I had a few nights ago, late August 2014. We had gone out originally to do, of course, what we always do, which I go out, we do aerial phenomena research, UFO research, that kind of thing. And we had anticipated on getting some pictures of the areas alive with activity. And I got out there, we took off on our mountain bikes, and we got out to a part of the woods. I don't want to say exactly where these woods were. We got out there, and it was a field that faces an entrance to some woods. And I think it was around the 27th of August in the evening. And we had seen some UFOs in the sky. They flew kind of low. And there wasn't really... We stood there, we got off the mountain bikes at the entrances of these woods. This was a site where we had had contact with beings in the past, and they had been there. And we had seen them. But I hadn't managed to get a photograph of this in the past. And that was with my son Tanner. And I wanted to get a photograph. In fact, I couldn't understand why I didn't get a photograph the last time. I was kind of transfixed on a beam that I was shining a flashlight at the time, and his eyes were reflecting a bright orange light back at us. And I just kind of looked at this, and my son said he wanted to go, so I left. Well, this was the theory, that they're going to meet there again. They're meeting with us. They're meeting with us. And I said, I'm going to go out there with a camera. I'm going to get something. So we went out there, and we saw this low-flying UFO. And I was talking to Hobie at the time, standing by the mountain bikes. And of course, because I was yattering away, I didn't happen to look up to notice this. And so I got, distracted, didn't get the picture of the UFO. Well, I got plenty of these in my portfolio from this area, plenty of these craft. So I have them framed as well. And I managed to get I got my camera ready, and it was on night filter. At this point, I began to see some dim flashes of lights in the woods up here, which were just in sequence. About 9:30 in the evening, and it was just kind of one after the other. There it was. And I heard something in the woods. So I walked over closer to the entrance of the woods, and I stood there for a minute, and Hobie stayed by the mountain bikes. And I did the mantra, peace, love, unity, oneness, and I thought that in my mind. I just stood there. And as I gazed into the dark in the entrance to the woods, I could just begin to make out figures staring back at me from beyond, from the darkness. There were some lights hitting the woods from the local city area. Without giving away this location, there were some street lights. It wasn't a total darkness out there. And I pointed my digital camera into the direction of, what I understood to be where they were standing. I could see them. I could see that this was a few beings that were there, very small in size. And I just kind of did my arms like that at first, and then I got the camera and took the picture. And I went back to this stance again just for a minute, kind of as though to say, okay, what do you want to show me? What's going on? And I was standing only 20 feet away from them, about 20 feet. I know I witnessed this and I saw them, and I said to my son, well, I did this again, peace, love, unity, thank you. I didn't tell him at the time, but as I stood there for about a minute after taking the picture, I got messages forming in my mind, perceivably from them, and I could feel they were somehow uploading every thought in my head, like that. Everything was uploaded in an instant. And I stood there for a minute, staring. It's just this moment, and I know this is happening. I let them do it, and they're looking at every aspect of my life, everything. And they seem to focus on the 1992 experience with a hybrid being named Beniko that I had encountered with, which is in my earlier video set, talking about my experience with her, and how we were in military intelligence custody. And also there's a video set talking about that experience, and there's a book out I put out last year detailing this event. And it was researcher David Chase that shared the video set around in 2012 with hundreds of people. You're welcome to see this on my YouTube channel. We found many validations to the experience in 1992, but again, there that was. There's my memory. They uploaded this, and they did this before. I know that they know all about this, and the message I got instantly was, there are no failures here, Jason. Don't blame yourself for what happened to her. We are aware of what happened. We are aware of everything. And so it was very clear to me that this meeting I found to be, like the meetings before, very comforting, shocking, comforting versus kind of overwhelming. But again, there's that part of you that says, okay, I know what I saw with my eyes, I know what I can remember, but you can almost go home and tell yourself, and don't think I'm someone chasing a belief system, but I would like to say, the believers, the people who just chase the belief, are, hold on a minute. I think that there's a tendency to kind of I guess they see something, and I think that even if it's nothing, they're going to say it's something even when it's nothing. But when you have seen something, and you're not one of those people like that, and you're just, you know, like me, you know, you just go out there, and if it's going to happen, it is. If it's not, it's not. You're just open, very open person, and you know, you do keep things in question. You're not a skeptic. You're an experiencer. There's a difference between an experiencer and a believer. I had this thought in my mind. I thought, well, surely if I can go home, and you know, there's always that little party that says, I'll reassure myself I didn't see that. We all have that little safe, tiny bit that didn't happen. You know what you saw. I went home. I downloaded the picture, the digital picture, into the computer, and yeah, there it was. The pictures upload at 72 dots per square inch, which DPI, that's very poor quality. And although it was a night filter, it's a basic night filter digital camera. So I like to use something simple for science, because if you use something really technical and advanced, you'll convolute the people you share the evidence with, they're going to think, well, wait a minute, that's a pretty advanced system you got set up there. Perhaps it created its own images, or maybe you did that, you know. It's simple. There's an old precept, keep it simple. Use simple equipment. You know, use advanced equipment for other purposes, but you want to kind of keep that simple for a lot of reasons. Of course, all I did was, when you put it in the computer, you can bring up the picture to 300 or 400 dpi, which you're just adding more dots per square inch. You're simply enhancing a photo that's already there. So I brought it up to standard, which is 300, and which is, if you share anything or you write a book, you put a picture in it, it's got to be 300 anyways. And there it was. Even then, it made it clear. I could see it. Then all I did was enlarge the picture. That's it. Enlarged it and saved a copy. It was only then I was sitting there staring at a photo evidence of what I had seen. I was staring directly at photo evidence of two alien beings. One was a greenish gray with large black eyes. The other was the outline of a mantid. And in my research in this local area, I have managed to capture a few other pictures of mantids in this area that I'm living in. And I didn't go looking for mantids, I just looked for whatever comes up. And that's what came up, was this, I've got a cold, sorry, was a mantid in the photo. A mantid is one of the ancients, I call them the ancients, or the oldest of the alien races, apparently. Some say they're the ones that created the gray race, the Greys, and the Greys made the hybrids, and of course there's this talk how they made mankind. They're about 4 feet tall and look just like that, like walking praying mantises. Yellowish green skin, they're an insect-like race. Some call them the Athenians. My mind heard not Athenian or ancients or mantid, because of course you're asking who am I dealing with. Standing there in the woods, I heard something that sounded like the horror scene. There's something called the horror scene. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, what I heard. The Rosh scene, or something like the Rosh scene race. The horse scene. I can't say this. I'm not saying it right. I know I'm not saying it right. That'll be another video when I don't have a cold. I'll get that right. I know what I heard in my head, but I'm trying to pronounce exactly how that sounded, and it's real the Rosh scene, or something like the Hirsch. I know I thought of, when I heard it, lots of things are popping up in your mind. They're using imagery in your own mind to communicate with you. So it's not English you're hearing from them, it's English in your own mind that they're conjuring up. So there's often a misconception that they're communicating with you in your language, and they're not. They're using what's in your mind. Okay, there's a distinction. In my research, I've learned that. You could be French or German, you could be Japanese, and they're not speaking your language, they're using what's already there. So, funny enough, Hershey's came to my mind, like chocolate Hershey. And remembering that, it was the Hirsch scene. The Hirsch scene is what they're called, the Hirsch scenes. And I think the experiencers who've had experience with the mantids got it wrong when they got Athenians. Athenian and Hirsch scene don't really sound a lot alike, but they are as similar in many ways. And I think maybe this is where they were getting it, perhaps through a blurry remembrance through hypnosis. I've had first-hand dealing with them, the Hircines, which are a mantid race. Benevolent and peaceful. I never got any fear. Like I said, we left this quietly, peacefully. I said thank you. I came home. But there was a shock that hit me for you researchers that get into the emotional issue of this. I have to admit, I'm not Mr. Brave, Mr. Courageous, Neil Armstrong walks on the moon. There was a shake-up sensation when you sit down. If you look at a photograph, and I put on my Facebook wall of this green, you can see it in the photo. You can see a gray. You can see the outline of the Hircine, or the mantid, standing over him, standing over the gray. But again, it is a night filter. It's not a day photo. It's not. It is a night filter, which has been enlarged, so you can't. You're not going to get like something like like a full color, like how I'm sitting in this chair here. That is yet to come. And that they are there, they are meeting, they are doing this, and they're fully aware of everything I know. And everyone I've had any contact with, for some reason they wanted that information too. The Hircine wanted that information. They wanted to know every individual I've ever had any contact with in my life, and what was said. I felt them taking a particular interest in every nuance of the contact. And I can explain why. They seem to be interested in the human race's reaction to alien race. There's some kind of a study with that going on. They wanted to kind of get some reaction to, here's an opportunity, a waking person without any missing time, who's fully ready, not fearful, who's dealing with us. They took an opportunity. I'm sure you think, well, they can get it from all the abductees. I don't know. I didn't get that feeling. I got the feeling this was somehow a waking conscience is very valuable to them. Much more than a subdued conscience, than an abduction experience. And they uploaded everything out of my head. And so they know about any of you I've had any contact with, and everything we've ever discussed. And they've analyzed it, explicitly analyzed this. For some reason, the Hircines wanted to, like anthropologists. It was curious to them. It was very curious. They wanted to get this information. And they wanted to understand things. Contact and disclosure will happen in the next few decades, but who exactly is going to be stepping forward, I don't know. I'm not sure if the Hircine will be doing this. They seem to be a bit of a grandfather race, is what I felt from them. And this smashes and violates against Christian thinking right there. God made us angels and all that. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but I think the Hircine were behind the creation of the human race. So there's not going to be any kind of an invasion, folks. That would be irrelevant. They made us. Well, they don't need to invade something. Children that they made, no more than you're going to go invade your own kids. But they're also very conscientious about this issue of when people are ready. If you're ready, then you're going to be out in the woods with me, meeting them. They're quite alien looking. The Hircine are quite alien. With the four-fingered claw-like hands that the graspers, and that large praying mantis head with a long, thin neck, and no clothing but just this body that looks very segmented, like a giant insect. Very large brain. And I got the sense this was a brain. Oh boy. This was a being that was, I'd like to talk about that in maybe another video. I don't want this to be too long. If they run too long, if my videos go just too long, I think I'm not going to get as many people, people aren't going to take the time to sit through a 40 minute, 35, 40 minute, 39 minute. So I'll tend to go back and take that down, and I'll redo that another time, but I'll bring it to something shorter. So it's better to keep the video short. But the Hirsch scene that I was dealing with, there was a gray with the being, and that's not like a slave, but like a child, and it was like a reptilian gray that was looking up to this Hirsch scene as if like an old being. I don't know, the Hirsch scene wasn't exactly male-female, not really male or female. The gray was male. The Hirsch scene was neither. That really is an irrelevant concept to them. They don't. It's just like with insects. They can be hermaphroditic and just mate themselves and lay their own eggs, as the Hirsch scene lay eggs. They don't. I'm not really sure what the issue is. The Greys having to. They have their own race, their own civilization. The Hirsch scene won't interfere with them any more than they're going to with us. If the Greys have issues with reproduction, they'll make their hybrids. So yeah, that's my video, and yeah, there was certainly some kind of a brain there, very advanced, very super smart. I don't want that information. I don't want that being uploaded into me. I could sense this. This was a very clever being, very smart. Human IQ is measured in 80, 90, 120, 140 is genius, 160 you get 200. This being was easily on our, if it's even on a scale, if I were to imagine, and this is just a ballpark, this is just taking a wild shot at this, I'd say 10,000 to 15,000 IQ, 12, 15,000 IQ. And it was a little worrying, because in the connection with this being 20 feet away, I felt this accelerated sense of something, hypersense, and that made me a little tired. In fact, a few days after the experience, I'm still a little. It's like looking into a bright light for a bit, and your eyes are hurting. You get tired after a while staring at a bright light. It's the same with your head. When you've had a direct exposure to a brain with such fantastic intelligence. So that said, that's a very pure first-hand research. We went out there to get this in a known area of contact with UFO sightings. We got the picture. It's clearly evident that this picture is depicting two beings, clearly non-human, clearly alien, clearly in the depiction of what abductees have seen and drawn. I will be going back there. I will be trying to get the all-powerful, the almighty, the one picture that will really stand out very clearly, the irrefutable picture. Because obviously with digital technology and night filters, you can dismiss anything. And the trained eye doesn't really have to see this picture to see this. Even untrained eyes, and many people on my Facebook were just, they saw this too. But it was mainly my reaction that was quite, I wasn't scared, it was just a shock to realize that what I saw and came up on the camera matched. And that took me about an hour to figure out how to kind of pull it together and go, wow. But the Hirsch scene are very highly sophisticated, technologically advanced civilization. Possibly even over 1 billion years old. maybe more, about 1 billion. I did get some tidbits of information from this non-male, non-female. It wasn't any negative feeling, it was a positive feeling. I also felt that I have to say it, viewed our spiritual belief systems on this planet as rather, it sees us as equal spirit in the sense of energy. We're equal spirit. But our ideas of spirituality were quite infantile to this being, completely infantile. In my experiences with Beniko in 1992, I thought she was incredibly spiritual and advanced. But again, she would be coming up to like something like a grade school kid next to this her scene. It'd be like meeting a third grader meets a professor. The being didn't look down on me in any way at all, thank God. Thank God. Hershey, if I'm saying that right, Hershey-Scene, the Hershey-Scene. I know I thought of Hershey, because I was getting imagery, because it knows what I'm asking the moment I'm going there, and it was answering those. It knows also not to be sharing with me very advanced technology. I don't want to know this. I don't want those equations, Jesus. That wouldn't be wise, it'd be very bad. That's not what I'm there to do. That's counterproductive. I'm there to just make the contact. But coming home, I have to admit, everything looked very differently. I have to admit. The houses, buildings, streets looked like a village town from Disneyland. It was like something very, very basic, colorful, childlike, and pedantic. The human race, our cars, the need for color of the cars and clothing style, it was all very pedantical and primitive. That was some of the influences of the Hearst scene, was that it was giving me that sense of what they see and feel was excessively mature, and our civilization suddenly an instant later looked very, it was like Candy Town or something. It was like going through a gingerbread town, and everything is excessively and irrationally colorful and irrationally emotional and irrationally designed, and artists like, and irrationally egotistic and fearful and arrogant, and it was very human. It was kind of weird to come away from an experience and feel very, very like coming off as something. You go, oh. And there was this sense of a very, well, we look, I'm glad that's wearing off. Let me just say, I'm glad that that's actually wearing off. That was one of my concerns the first few hours. That wasn't going to wear off. That my perception was altered by by its perception. And I was going, oh Jesus, I don't want to keep, oh my God. I was like, oh, how am I going to wear this? Oh, how am I going to shake this? I don't want to walk around looking at life like this. You know, and I've come off that. So it does take a sophisticated, you really got to be ready for this kind of contact. I don't believe, as I end this video, let me just say, and thank you for watching, thank you for being supporters, and thank you for pushing, my work. But I just want to say quickly that I don't think that our contact in 2025, 2020, is going to be with the Hershey civilization, or necessarily the Greys. It could be the hybrid civilization, the Shikani, Sasani, like Bashar's race. I don't think that really any of you are going to be walking into the woods meeting them. I'm glad I did. I can say that now. It's hard to explain what was getting me, but you've been influenced by something like that. That is literally, there's a telepathic connection. There's a two-way contact going on very quickly, and you're immediately being influenced in your mind. And when you came back into civilization, and you looked at the cars and the buildings, it all looked, I can't describe this, it was like walking into an old village, some painted village, where everybody's behaving very, la 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 la, I'm a human, childlike. And And that did scare me a bit. It was a little disturbing. I thought, oh God, I hope this wears off. I don't want to see it. That's how they see us. All of our little issues, and you know, our idea of psychology is quite basic, childlike. It's like little kids playing with green blocks and red blocks, and the other little child who says he's a psychologist, why do you play with green blocks? I've noticed you play with green blocks. You know, this is the best we can do with our greatest psychologist. I play with green blocks because I like the color, you know. The Hearst scene would be looking up, that's how they're looking at us. They're just kind of like, you're below us. We're thousands of times horrifically more advanced than you in many ways, more ways than one. But they don't look down on us, funny enough. But I did get the sense they made us. And